G'day guys, it's Casey here from Lured In Fishing. Today I would like to break down the very simple components of a baitcaster reel. For someone who may not have used a baitcaster reel before, really cool looking, low profile reels, but there's a few little things that you must know which differ from a spinning reel. So, number one is our baitcaster reel, quite small, usually have that double handle. When setting this up, the first thing that we like to look at is the drag. So most baitcaster reels will be a star drag. So the drag is located just here as part of the handle configuration, and by turning that forward or back, we can loosen or tighten our drag. Now on left-handed baitcaster reels, it is the exact same thing. We're turning away from us for more drag or towards us for less drag. So setting our drag, number one thing. Number two is our free spool. So rather than flipping open a bail arm like we would on a spin reel, we're actually pressing in this button at the back of the reel here. So by pressing that in, it disengages the spool, and now we can cast and our line is going to come off. To re-engage, all we have to do is turn the handle. We can see that clips back up, so free spool, that's re-engaged, and that will put the reel back into gear and it won't come off, or when it does, it will be under the tension of our drag. The next two things which I will show you are really important when it comes to setting up our baitcaster for casting lures. So that is something called the cast control, this little dial or knob here, as well as this one on the side here. Now, this little one on the side, it's not on every reel. It is on some baitcasters, not on all of them. But one thing they do all feature is this particular one here. So this is our main cast control. So what this does, by tightening this, the same as our drag, so turning it away from us, by tightening that up, it's actually going to slow down how fast this spool can spin. So when we free spool the reel, by tightening this up, the spool's going to spin slower. What that does, when we put a heavy lure on this or a heavy sinker and we cast it out, it's not going to keep spinning really fast, and you in turn will end up with an overrun if you don't do it up. So setting our brakes is absolutely essential to casting lures accurately and not getting tangles and bird's nests when using a baitcaster reel. So other way to it, if we're casting light, small lures, we might want to loosen that off so that our lure actually is coming off and our line is coming off, and that way we can cast those smaller lures out there. A good general rule of thumb when setting up your baitcaster reel's braking system is if you tie your lure on, you've got it coming out the tip of your rod. If we free spool the reel, as it falls to the ground, when it hits the ground, you want the spool to stop spinning. If the brakes are too tight, the lure won't fall. If the brakes are too loose, when the lure hits the ground, the spool will continue spinning, and we might get just a small bird's nest. We can then tighten it up, tune it in, do that a couple of times till we've got it spot on, and then we are ready to go. The second cast control in this particular reel is another dial cast control here, which is from numbers 1 up to number 20. Some of these are a bit more simplistic. They go from 1 up to 5, 1 to 10. Some of them just have kind of 3 or 4 different settings. So this is essentially, once we've got this just about tuned in with our major braking system here, we can fiddle with this one and get it absolutely spot on to get maximum casting distance without getting an overrun. Now, once again, a general rule of thumb when starting this is put it all the way up, play with this one, get it just about spot on, and then we can back that off a little bit just to get that extra distance. Some reels don't have this type of secondary braking system. Some will just have the one. Some will also have an internal braking system, which as a beginner, I wouldn't recommend adjusting too much, but with some reels, what we can do is they'll have a little lever under the reel here itself. We can flick that across, and it will actually open up the side plate of the reel. Now on this bait here, that's inside there we have our magnetic cast control. Some of these will have some little kind of Teflon pieces which you can fold in or out, but once again, beginning with this sort of thing, I wouldn't recommend playing with that all too much and just focusing mainly on our main cast control and our fine-tuned cast control. They are the main 4 components of a bait casting reel. Obviously the reel speaks for itself. That's your handle, that's what we wind. We also have a little level wind in here which lays the line nicely, so when we're rigging this up we want to make sure we put our line through that. But free spool there, drag here, major cast control and minor cast control.